What if I told you that in the 1970s, there were reports of a vampire attacking locals and causing chaos in an old Victorian cemetery, culminating with two rival vampire hunters having a lifelong feud? Sounds like a plot of an old cheesy movie or an episode of Doctor Who, right? Well, it's true. Well, sort of. And it really happened in an old cemetery in London named Highgate. Highgate Cemetery's Gothic architecture and overgrown mausoleums have beckoned to ghost hunters, occultists, and those drawn to the strange and unexplained for generations. It is a Victorian relic with a rich tapestry of history and mystery. If you can imagine a creepy cemetery from an old monster movie, then you have a good idea of what this place looks like. The 1970s was a decade marked not only by disco beats and bell-bottoms, but also by an explosion of interest in the occult and paranormal researchers becoming quasi-celebrities. This whole story can be traced back to a dark Halloween night in 1968. According to an article in the London Evening News, an unidentified group of young people broke into a Tottenham Park cemetery, arranged grave flowers into strange symbols, and worst of all, dug up the grave of a woman and drove an iron stake through the poor woman's heart. This event brought the old legend of the vampire back into the public's mind and pop culture. 2 years later, in a letter to the Hampstead and Highgate Express on February 6th of 1970, a man named David Farrant, a self-proclaimed occultist, wrote that when he passed Highgate Cemetery on Christmas Eve in 1969, he had glimpsed a tall gray figure in a top hat. Soon after, Sean Manchester, a religious man of the cloth, claimed Farrant's gray figure was a vampire, and the media quickly latched on, embellishing the tales with stories of the vampire being a king of the vampires or practicing black magic. Envision the atmosphere: a chilling breeze, an otherworldly aura, and unsuspecting witnesses finding themselves ensnared in a hypnotic trance. The Highgate Vampire, as it was dubbed, had emerged from the shadows, leaving a trail of fear and fascination in his wake. In the wake of this fear, two figures emerged, each claiming the mantle of the vampire hunter. Maybe not so coincidentally, it was the two men who started it all. Sean Manchester and David Farrant, though united in their quest, harbored a rivalry that added a layer of complexity to the unfolding drama, each claiming that he could and would expel or destroy the specter. Both were convinced that they held the key to eradicating the nocturnal menace. Sean Manchester approached the situation with a mix of religious fervor and conviction. In contrast, David Farrant, the occultist, relied on a more unconventional approach, blending skepticism with a dash of the supernatural. Their different philosophies ignited a rivalry that played out among the moonlight gravestones of Highgate. The tale took an unexpected turn as local whispers transformed into national headlines. The media, always hungry for a sensational story, latched onto the Highgate vampire narrative with fervor. News outlets, both local and national, painted vivid images of the supernatural lurking in the heart of London. The once quiet cemetery became a stage for an unscripted drama. Amateur vampire hunters, armed with stakes and crosses, descended upon Highgate, turning it into a battleground for the supernatural. It was a fevered quest for answers, with the line between reality and fiction blurred. On the ominous day of Friday the 13th of March 1970, Sean Manchester boldly announced his intention to conduct an exorcism. The media, seizing the opportunity to explore the supernatural drama, conducted interviews with Manchester, David Farrant, and other individuals who had apparently witnessed paranormal phenomena within the confines of the cemetery. The broadcast of these interviews occurred early in the evening of the 13th. Within a mere 2 hours of the television revelations, a fervent mob of hunters emerged, drawn from various corners of London and even beyond, descending upon Highgate Cemetery. Undeterred by locked gates and towering walls, they breached the cemetery's defenses, their numbers swelling despite the efforts of law enforcement to maintain control. Several months later, on August 1st, 1970, the scorched and decapitated remains of a woman's body were discovered in close proximity to the catacombs. It appeared to be a desecrated body of someone already buried on the grounds. Law enforcement, suspecting connections to black magic, initiated investigations. Yet, the true nature of the circumstances remains unclear, as evidenced by the absence of a citation or arrest. Soon after, David Farrant was apprehended by the police in the churchyard adjacent to the cemetery. Clutching a crucifix and a wooden stake, he was taken into custody. However, when the case reached the courtroom, it was ultimately dismissed. A few days following these events, Sean Manchester returned to Highgate Cemetery. According to his account, he and his companions, guided by the insight of his psychic assistant, forcibly opened the doors of a family vault. Manchester contended that he uncovered a coffin, which he believed had mysteriously shifted from the previous catacomb. With the intention of driving a stake through the body within, he was dissuaded by a companion, and begrudgingly, he closed the lid, but not before leaving behind garlic and incense in the vault. When he returned to finish the job later, according to Sean, the body was missing. It seemed that the Highland vampire had escaped. As the media circus subsided, Highgate Cemetery bore the scars of the vampire frenzy. Legal troubles plagued the once heroic vampire hunters, their actions leaving a lasting impact on the sacred grounds. The aftermath, however, wasn't just confined to legal woes. The cemetery itself suffered damage, with desecrated graves serving as a stark reminder of the hysteria that had unfolded. Despite the destructive aftermath, the legend of the Highgate vampire refused to fade into obscurity. Instead, it morphed into a timeless tale, captivating the minds of those fascinated by the unknown. The cemetery, now scarred but still standing, became a pilgrimage site for those eager to catch a glimpse of the spectral vampire. And so, we find ourselves at the crossroad of skepticism and belief, pondering the enduring mystery of the Highgate vampire. What are your thoughts on this chilling saga? Do you believe in the supernatural, or chalk it up to collective hysteria? Share your reflections in the comments below. If you enjoy our descent into the paranormal depths, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of the unknown. Until next time, I'm Broadcaster 7 asking, are you receiving the night signal?